On June 23, 2020, my two sons and I started the Spider project. From a reluctant seller, we bought this 1978 Fiat Spider 124 that was in need of some love and care. We brought it home with reckless optimism and forced it inside our tiny garage. The majority of it was already pulled apart, but we got the engine out of it and proceeded to pull more bits and pieces to discover exactly what future might lie ahead of us.
There you are.
Here, hold that up for the camera. So what do you think? Think that's in good shape?
Feels pretty smooth.
So the answer is
No.
we built a tilting bench out of 3/4 inch plywood, promptly pulled the suspension, and plopped it over to gain access to its soft underbelly of dirt, oil, and undercoating. A few wire wheels and a whole lots of noise and time were spent getting it down to bare metal. When we got tired of doing that, it was easy enough for us to drop it back down to gain access to the interior. Here, Jade is using an air chisel to strip this heavy oil sound deadening material that is pretty much fused to the metal of the floor pans. It's just a standard 2-car garage we are working in, so space is limited. We purchased a used 20-gallon, 5-horsepower air compressor and kept to tools that weren't ravenous on their use of it. A big capacity compressor would have been better, but this has worked for us so far. Certainly glad we took the effort to strip the interior. From there, we continued on into the wheel wells. Maybe we should have checked those closer before we bought it. This is right behind the driver's front wheel. Thick gobs of long ago sealant hid some significant rusting inside the rocker panel frame. It's a relatively easy fix though. However, when we stripped the shock tower, ugly, ugly, ugly. This is a problem of these older Spiders. The design of the shock tower allows moisture to sit inside of it, rotting it away. Not an easy fix. This thing is going to have to be replaced. Further on down, the rocker panel is in still pretty good shape. Tough exterior protection paint and rust proofing on the inside kept these nice. Easy enough to grind off the spot welds on top and tack welds on the bottom to take it off. Don't be afraid to do this. It's worth the time to see what lies beneath.
Pick it up. I don't know, it's kind of...
Kenzie then took a grinder to the deeply rusted out rear wheel well. We knew this going in, so it wasn't a surprise, but if they weren't as far gone as these ones were, I am sure it would have been possible to miss it. I wouldn't suggest someone replacing these outer wheel wells for the sheer fun of it, but I did find it easier than it could have been, I guess. Both were rusted out. And thus, with the grinder still in hand, out came the shock tower. Some of the frame came with it, granting me opportunity to get some rust proofing into it and the area prepped for the ordered part. Thus winter passed, and with a few more dollars in my pocket, I splurged on a rotisserie. It's been worth every penny. You'll see. Now, with the project budget completely blown, I resigned to send the body to a media blast. Not sand, but plastic. It wouldn't get rid of the heavy stuff like seam sealer and undercoating, but it also wouldn't destroy the thin gauge steel. In the interim, we built a small sandblast shield and stripped parts that weren't so delicate. The car was back in a week, and we were now on rust patrol, grinding off, cutting, and replacing everything that we could find. This is that same area behind the driver's front wheel. A small template was made out of a cereal box, probably the best material for it. It's got strength, flexibility, and it easily cut with scissors. Just oversize the metal piece a bit and trim it down to fit. Neither Jade nor Kenzie had welded before, but with a bit of practice and patience, it turned out pretty well. Kenzie here is working on a rusted bit from inside the rocker panel on the frame itself. Again, nothing to be afraid of here. He finished it up really nice. Continue on to our next video where we make the mistake to replace some dented frame rails, get the rear wheel wells welded in, and metalwork finished to get it off the rotisserie.